Hello, people. Back at it again. Another episode of The World is Burning. Shout out to the 550 subscribers. The community is growing quite nicely. We're getting some fantastic comments. Keep it coming. If you're new here, we're just covering these economic issues everyone's going through, covering some of these 2024 collapses. And once again, guys, the hiring freeze, the layoff trend is continuing. And I think this is the biggest thing that we're all facing right now. Lift stock soars thanks to Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and layoffs. So the stock's soaring as soon as they're laying people off. Spotify layoffs, they're still happening, making it harder for people to discover new music. Popcore undergoes wave of layoffs impacting key staff. All these companies are laying people off still. Paramount Global to lay off about 800 employees, 3% of its workforce. Cisco, 2 days ago, could lay off thousands of employees as part of restructuring. And they're going to start calling it this, guys, restructuring. Snap, Nintendo, Tesla, Microsoft, Zwift. I mean, there's no news, no good news, people. It's all just like Cisco to lay off thousands of workforce as part of its restructure of its 85,000 workforce. All these big companies are overextended, people. They're needing to restructure, and it's going to start with people cutting jobs. When you throw this in with the hiring freeze that's going on, this is where the real issue comes, people. This is where the issue real comes. It's all right when people are getting laid off and there are jobs for people to go to, but if there's no jobs for people to go to, it is terrible. Now we look at this. The average job search takes somewhere around 5 to 6 months. So this is why having a fully stocked emergency fund is essential, people. You can't be living on credit right now, and you need to forego the wants and really stack up that cash. If you think you're in tech right now and you could be affected, because it can take 5 to 6 months. I'm seeing videos of people a year and a half in, not finding jobs. And here's the thing, they're laying people off, but they're rehiring people at a lower wage. So you can't let that lifestyle inflation get you, guys. And as we see here from Financial Times, employers hold the cards now as power shifts in the US job market. During COVID, the employees had all the power. They were quitting. They were doing whatever they wanted, and they really held all the cards. It's completely flipped now, people. It's completely flipped, and employers hold all the cards now. So let's take a quick look at the job market, see what the hell's going on. Leave me a comment, guys. I love hearing from the community.
Why are all of these places hiring, but won't fucking hire someone?
To be honest with you, it is not only the worst job market that we've seen in a long time, but you also got companies playing a lot of games here. Number one, companies are saying that they're hiring. They put a candidate through the interview process, and then they don't hire anybody, and then they repost the job again. And you know what's even worse, everybody? So you see all these jobs, right? All of them say promoted on LinkedIn. So you know companies are spending money to find candidates to apply to their jobs. Yet the crazy part is that they're not hiring anybody. And then you got companies like this who are not even paying anything to work for them. Or companies that give you a salary, but they give you a range that's just like, you don't even know what you're going to be making. And to keep on going, you got jobs that have been here for 2 months or more. Those are either filled or they're just being super picky of who they're trying to get for their company. I can talk about this all day, but I think the biggest thing for job seekers is that you all are applying to hundreds of roles and you're getting rejected by most of them. I see videos where people are applying to 100 jobs, 1,000 jobs, even someone who said they applied to over 10,000. The best thing I can recommend you is to create a resume tailored towards the job title you're going for, and then start to network with recruiters and hiring managers who are actually hiring. And one last thing is that don't get down on yourself if you get rejected from a job or someone doesn't respond to you.
Yeah, and he's bang on there, guys. The days of just going on Indeed and firing out 10,000 CVs, they're over. You need to start thinking outside the box. And if you're not using AI to do up your resumes and whatnot, you're missing out on a trick. Look at this comment here. I have a master's and can't get hired for almost 2 years. I've been seeing a lot of this people who can't get hired for a real long time.
I need you to stop right now if you are looking for a job or if you're planning on going into the job search in 2024. Let me tell you what is going on in the job market. Everybody talks about how challenging the job market is. Let's talk about why it's challenging and then actual strategies that you can consider so you can land a role going into 2024. For those of you who don't have time to sit and listen, I recommend saving and coming back to this later. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Erica. I am a certified career coach, and I have worked at companies like Indeed as well as Google, where I have been part of their hiring departments, and I've hired at a global scale. Well, every single day across the globe, land new job opportunities, and I want to help you too. Every year before going into the new year, Indeed, it releases an in-depth job market report that helps people understand what the hiring landscape is going to look like going into the new year. Here's the reality of the job market. There are three main takeaways that I want you to gather from the data here. One is that the job postings that are available right now and accessible have decreased from 2022 going into 2023 and now going into 2024. So reserved hiring companies are being more conservative in how they're hiring. So you're going to see less job postings out in the market. That doesn't mean companies aren't hiring. It just means that you need to understand that. Certain sectors are going to feel it more than others. So these are sectors here that are being impacted where we're seeing.
Look at this, guys. So, sectors with sharpest declines in job postings, there's 50% less software development. These are all good jobs as well, people. Information documentation, mathematics, human resources, media and communications, IT operations, banking and finance. These have all taken a 30 to 50% hit on just job offerings.
A large decline in the number of job postings that are available. Again, doesn't mean companies aren't hiring. Just knowing that information, it helps you build your strategy. And third, remote works. We know that a lot of companies are asking people to come back to the office. A lot of people still want to work remotely. And knowing that we're going to see a decline in remote work and that is going to be a continued trend, we want to use that information to shape our job strategy. We can't control what is going on in the job market, but knowing what is going on and staying up to date on market trends is going to help you as you're searching for new roles. Because if you know what type of competition you're up against, then you know that you can set those expectations for yourself. So whether that means instead of looking at a large company, you look at a mid-size or a smaller company. If you're looking at remote roles, there's more limitations when it comes to full-time remote roles, but maybe you look at contract roles. If you're looking to actively make a change in your career, but you know that you have gaps in your skills, maybe you hold tight and you look at what are the requirements for the type of roles that you want to target and get some certifications or doing some upskilling in those areas. You need to understand what you need. If you're
And that's it, guys. I think everyone needs to be upskilling right now. There's a lot of online resources you can go to get some free courses and start getting some extra skills.
The Great Resignation is over. We're now. And that's a sign. The Great Resignation is over. We're now in one of the hardest employee markets.
So I'll just tell you from my experience as a hiring manager. I'm a head of product, so I hire product managers. A year ago, I'd open a PM role, and within about 24 hours, it would get 80 to 90 applicants. Now, when I open a role, within 24 hours, it gets about 400 applicants. In the past 12 months, our product org has hired maybe 20 people. That includes engineers, designers, and PMs. And I think only one or two of them was a cold application, meaning everybody else was referred in. If I was on the job market right now, I would not waste any time applying to a role where I didn't have someone who could refer me in. I would spend 80 to 90% of my time researching the openings that are at the companies where my friends and my connections work, talking with them about those roles, strategizing about how to craft my resume and application, and then the other 10% of the time filling out applications.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong there. He's not wrong there. This one here, sober beard, bald dad, step one, get friends. And this one here, I want a refund for my degree. I'm seeing a lot of this right now, guys. Leave me a comment. Do you regret your degree? Do you wish you never did it? I'd love to hear from you.
If you're planning to look for a new job in 2024, this is what I think you need to be aware of. And for context, I lead job seeker marketing at one of the largest hiring marketplaces out there, which basically means I get paid full time to stay very close to hiring data and trends. I'm also a career educator here on TikTok, so I basically live and breathe all of this stuff. Based on everything I've learned over the past year, these are my predictions for the 2024 hiring market. Raise your hand if AI was your favorite buzzword, of the year. Just kidding, it wasn't mine. But companies are definitely going to keep hiring for people that know how to leverage generative AI in their workflows to make their work more efficient. It will also increasingly be prioritizing people with skills that AI can't do, things like creativity, strategy, and cross-functional collaboration. Oh, I hate this one. I think our remote days are coming to an end.
Yep.
It is estimated that 90% of companies will be implementing some sort of return to office initiative by the end of 2024. And they might be firing people if they don't comply. Also, did you know that 96% of companies have some sort of employee monitoring software to keep a little eye on you while you're working from home? If you haven't already, 2024 is the year to invest in your network and invest in your personal brand. We have seen that layoffs happen at any moment, and they are most likely not over. Having a strong personal brand that positions you as an expert in your niche, combined with a huge network of real relationships with other talented professionals, will be the thing that guarantees you have opportunities available to you when you look for a new job. On that note, because of all the layoffs, the job market is very full of highly competitive talent, and employers are being a lot choosier.
And that's it, guys. And this is where I feel for these graduates who have just got out and don't have any experience. You are competing against people who've been in industry 10, 15, 20 years, and it's going to get a hell of a lot more competitive. And it, like I said, if we go back to this one, it's an employer's market now. They hold all the cards, people.
With who they hire, they can get the best talent for the cheaper price. Plan for longer job search cycles than what you may have experienced previously. There are just a lot more highly skilled professionals looking for jobs. And lastly, because of the layoffs, many companies have also implemented hiring freezes, but they may have more flexibility and more budget to bring on contractors. Keep an open mind to freelance opportunities when you look for a job. Freelance can let you bounce between projects, which means you can try on a new team if you hate the last one. And it also is a good opportunity to build a really broad set of skills that you may not get by just staying in one role. If you're planning to
and say, are you guys hiring?
Lohani, I'm so happy that you brought this up. So if you take a look at the original video, what Lohani is doing is she printed out her resumes and she's going in person to companies asking if they're hiring for roles. And I totally respect that. That was actually me in 2017 when I was trying to work at these big name companies, and I went to a non-target school, but they weren't recruiting from my university. So I went to those offices and I actually did the same thing. I handed my resume, my cover letter, and even my business cards in hopes of a recruiter or hiring manager following up and saying, hey, would love to interview you. And it worked. So Lohani, you're doing it right, and I wish you nothing but the best. This also brings up a discussion that needs to be talked about regarding the job market. It's so sad that we have to go through these measures to even land an interview, yet an offer. The world that we're in right now, the expectation is that we apply to 100 jobs and only get one interview. And that's crazy to think about, because imagine how much time it takes to apply to each job. Let's just say 5 minutes, and 100 jobs, that's around 500 minutes. And then you got a network on top of that. And then you apply to a job where you fit 100% of the qualifications, but you still get rejected, and then that job gets reposted again. I don't know. The culture of this job market has to change, and hopefully we're going to be able to change it soon.
Yeah, agreed. It's rough out there right now, guys. Particularly rough.
Good morning, I guess. It is 11:45 on January 2nd, and I am staying true to my resolution to post here every single day, even if I feel like I don't have anything to say. Today, I do have something to say. I should have eaten the damn grapes. I didn't know about the grape thing, but if I had known about the grape thing, I would have eaten the grapes. Because today, January 2nd, is by far the worst day of this year so far. For those of you that don't know me, I am a bartender and a mom, a newly single mom. And I separated from my husband in March of this year. And I bartended at a local restaurant for the last 10 years. And it worked while I was married, because I could take care of the kids during the day. And at night I could go to work and earn some money for my family. Well, this morning, without warning, everyone in our location and all of the surrounding locations on the island got a message through Hot Schedules from corporate saying that we are closing effective today. And there really isn't any good options. I don't know what I'm going to do. I had told myself I was going to pour myself into this app and try to make an influence, try to gain a following, try to start some sort of a business. I don't have any real skills other than my ability to be kind to people and to be nurturing to people, and that's why I did so well in my field. I guess I'm asking for advice, and for, if you can, drop me a follow, because I don't have enough followers to be part of the creator fund yet. So if you could just drop me a follow, I'll follow you back. Following is free. I'll follow you, you follow me. I know that follow trains are lame, but at this point I'm pretty desperate. So yeah, any little bit helps. So if you could drop a like.
Yeah, it's a stressed out woman. It sounds like she got laid off from being a server. So even servers aren't safe, people.
UPS announced Tuesday it will lay off 12,000 employees. That's about 2% of its workforce, according to figures from the Wall Street Journal. The Journal reports most of the layoffs will affect individuals in contract and management roles. UPS joins several high-profile companies that have recently announced layoffs, among them Xerox, Wayfair, and Amazon.
Even BlackRock, people, that's they're handling some of the most money on a daily basis, is transacting through BlackRock. I mean, no one's safe.
Amazon and UPS are also among companies mandating office employees to return to in-person work. To understand these events in the context of the labor market, we've asked Guy Berger to join us. He's the Director of Economic Research at Burning Glass Institute, which focuses on policy and research related to American workers. So, Guy, how should we think about these layoffs at these big companies, names people know, seems like big numbers, but the unemployment rate is 3.7%, which is low. How should we think about these?
Well, John, I think the main thing to remember to start with is the U.S. economy is really big. The flows are enormous. 2023 was the year with the third lowest layoffs on record, and we still had 1.5 million layoffs a month, almost 20 million for the whole year. So within that context, these numbers alone are high profile, but they're small. And I think the question, which we haven't seen it materialize, is whether these sort of drip of high profile layoffs start adding up to a bigger wave of layoffs, but we don't see it yet.
And when the Federal Reserve started raising interest rates to slow economic activity, was the expectation that by now, a good while after that rate rising period began, that expectation would be where it is, or is it lower than people expected? Because there was some expectation it would go up as the economy cooled, right?
Yeah, I think we've been amazingly lucky that inflation's come down. It's basically in recent months where the Fed wants it in the long run. And at the same time, the impact on the unemployment rate has been very small to nearly negligible. Now, the risk is that we're sort of near a tipping point, and we haven't seen it yet, but in early this year, maybe it starts creeping up. But I'm really crossing my fingers that we get lucky, and instead of it being just a small positive impact on unemployment, we don't see any at all. Let's cross our fingers. That'd be amazing.
Let me ask you about these policies of having people come back to in-person work. Is kind of a point of friction that I think tells us something about the labor market. You tell me, because when employees are hard to find, employers say, sure, work from home, do what you need, I want to keep you. But when jobs are hard to find, employees say, okay, I'll show up all day long because I may not be able to get another job or go somewhere else. Do you see these companies that are saying you got to come in and work full time as illustrative of anything in particular that's happening in the labor market?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that if you think about it, this working from home, remote, hybrid work was this benefit that's highly desired by employees that became prevalent during the pandemic and stuck around afterwards. Employers seem and bosses seem more reluctant to hand it out, but it's part of this bargaining that's going on between workers and employers. And as the labor market's cooled somewhat, with hiring coming down, employers are becoming less generous offering that. And so employees are finding that it's harder for them to keep hold of that benefit. And employers, do have the leverage to bring people back.
And that's it, guys. It's an employer's market right now. They've got all the cards. I just wanted to show you that. I thought it was quite interesting. I was watching it this morning. They all seem quite optimistic and whatnot, but this is obviously mainstream media, and they're not wanting to scare everyone. Let's have a look at some of the previous comments on one of my previous videos, guys. This was a previous layoff video. The problem with the tech industry is that it was already at an all-time high and was ready for a market correction. However, then COVID happened. Tech companies were all of a sudden needed much more, and they were even during the height of its latest bull market. So instead of a miniature correction that would typically happen, tech companies are making layoffs to make up for essentially a bull market that lasted 1 year too long. That's why it feels so bad. The stock market follows the laws of physics. Every high is an equal and opposite low. Sudoku, you bang on the money there. Max 2 and the domino effect continues. Yes, it does. 3 likes on that one. And this one here, companies have never been more profitable while at the same time also being more ruthless than ever when it comes to layoffs. That money would be going to the workers. It is instead going to the top 1%. The ever increasing bonuses and ridiculous remunerations leave the rest of us stranded. Unbridled capitalism at work is unsustainable. I'm a big capitalist, guys. I think the free market does work when it's working, but then it just starts going out of control, and it's this here, the unbridled capitalism at work. It just becomes uncontrollable. Everyone needs to have higher profits every year, or else, and now it's just falling apart. So, Huge Organ 30, great comment there, guys. So yeah, let me know where you are in the world. How are you affecting? Are these layoffs affecting you? I'd love to hear from you. I love hearing from the community, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.